Welcome to Bookmark.
Hi.
This is our weekly podcast where we typically review the week's events. And before we begin and talk about what this week's Bookmark will be about, I wanted to direct you to our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page called Book of Hours. And what we did on Saturday was we took a collection of all of the protests that took place around the globe. Everybody had come out to fight tyranny, and I won't go too much into it. I would just direct you over there if you have questions about what is this about, because mainstream media isn't covering it. Just go there, and there's a lot of people that have a lot to say about some of the tyrannical and despotic actions that are being taken place against the people.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're all in different parts of the world, not in the U.S. And so
unbelievable.
It is pretty unbelievable. So anyway.
So please go there. I think you'll find it enlightening and informative, and it's just so great to see people coming out like that. Some people we actually know. We've talked to them personally. They live in Ontario and London, and we're thrilled that they had an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Okay, so the rest of the day, or the rest of the show, we wanted to talk about where we're at Book of Hours, and some of the work that we've done, and talk about what Book of Hours is and why we're talking to you right now. Back in March, April, we released a video called Quarantyranny, and we wanted to show you a clip from that right now.
At this point, the coronavirus did not cause the meltdown of the largest financial bubble in human history that built up after the 2008 financial crisis by central banks just printing money with abandon.
America, the United States of America, is really under attack right now.
On a global level, this is deliberate. This isn't about the coronavirus either, okay? This started way before the coronavirus.
Social distancing definitely is good. It prevented the sky from falling down.
This may be the most important video we have ever made. History is happening right now. Our collective autonomy is being destroyed. We're told that this is for our safety. This is not about a pandemic. This is about the restructuring of our world, our economy, and our lives.
Okay, so that was the opening sequence from our video essay called Quarantyranny. That was the first video that we produced in the age of COVID. It's the unofficial beginning of the new model series.
Right.
It's not officially part of that series, but it kind of like got us in that direction.
Yeah, we like to put it in that series anyway.
Yeah.
As the first video. A lot of times when people aren't sure about the work that we do, or they're just like, what is Book of Hours and what does this mean? And I say, well, this is what we do. Go watch Quarantyranny. It's actually got more views than any of the other bodies of work that we have produced.
Yeah.
Because the whole pandemic thing had come about so quickly that people were in a state of shock, and they needed something to cling to. They needed something to, give them some direction about what was really going on, and Quarantyranny really did spell it out for them. And so, we're glad that you had a chance to watch that little clip there. So please go back and watch.
Yeah, so you can see that on YouTube. We'll put a link in the show notes, but it's on YouTube. And you can find it in, we do have playlists, and the new model series is one of those playlists. So anyway, so you can see that on YouTube. the context of Quarantyranny was the beginnings of the lockdown, and when that happened, right before that happened, actually, Julie and I were still producing videos. But we were working more on a more aesthetic level. We were planning other types of videos when that took place. But I want to say though that this was the focus of our work. This is, we are artists, and this was the focus of our work, producing high quality videos that people enjoy watching, whether they're essays or whether they were nonfiction. We wanted to produce information and content that was like really engaging, right?
Right.
And at that time, though, like everybody else, before that all happened, I mean, I held down a job basically that helped pay the bills. Yeah, well, it was work actually. It was a job. Yeah, it wasn't work. It was a job, and that job was just it was the easiest job I've ever had, but it wasn't a great job. Prior to that, I mean, in the last I had a 20-something year career as a designer, and I was an interaction designer in the user experience world, and that came to a close when I turned 50, basically. I was laid off, and I could never find another full-time job in that area. Again, I was put into short-term gig jobs that were, UX jobs. But what's happening right now, and what we talk about in our new video, Lifelong Learning, through algorithms and through checking people's data and credit scores and work related scores. I was basically kind of like not only aged out, but I was kind of pushed out of my career. The last job that I had was like 3 years ago.
Right. And just to talk a little bit about the algorithms, and to talk about how people lose their jobs because of their social credit score or things like that. If JP had never ever even had a Facebook page, never had a Twitter account, never really did anything, he still would have lost his career.
Right.
He still would have lost it. So there's this idea going around where if you just get off Facebook, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or if you stop posting the things that you're posting on Facebook, then you'll get a job, or you won't lose your job.
Right.
That's not true. That's not the way the world works.
Right.
The algorithms don't have feelings. The algorithms don't get offended. The algorithms don't care. And that's what you're fighting against. You're fighting against algorithms. You're not fighting against, a potential employer that's scrolling through your Facebook page and going, oh, he said this about Joe Biden. Well, we better not hire him. That's not what's happening.
It's not what's happening.
That's not how it. That's not how it works.
Right.
So
so it was basically. I was basically going to a lot of interviews and never getting the job. And it was there's a multitude of criteria that they go through. And in San Francisco, I mean, they were giving me this sort of bullshit exercise. They called it a design challenge that I would spend 8 hours on and present to them, and it basically gave them the time to check up on me and look at the algorithms and they said, oh well, we need you to do this so that we can use it as a to see where you are with your design skills and
that's
blah
not
blah blah.
why they give you challenges.
No,
it's for something else.
Yeah, so it was basically to give them time to interview other people and to check up on me and all that stuff. So fast forward, we moved to Pittsburgh 2 years ago. I went on several other interviews in my field and never got them. So
nothing panned out.
I picked up a position driving a school van. And when the COVID thing hit, I lost that job too. So that gave us the focus and drive to really put ourselves into our work. Right.
So we've always worked. We're we're workers.
Right.
That's what we always do.
Well, the nice thing about the bus job was it gave me time. It was a 2-shift type of thing where it was a split shift day, and it gave me time in the day to come home between my shifts and work with Julie on some of the videos that you've probably seen. For
Right.
instance, there was the expulsion video that we produced last year.
Right.
About
Long before COVID.
long before
Yeah.
COVID, where they wanted to remove a historical, beautiful fresco murals in a high school. And we put a lot of work into that, and it was really, I think, the first video that really got us on this trajectory to where we
Right.
are now.
Yeah.
But because, of the work that I did, or the job that I had, it allowed us to, me to bring in a little bit of an income, but also focus on our work as artists.
Right. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess. I mean, it is a minimum wage job. It's totally beneath him. He definitely deserves, to be working in his field. But as an artist, and as someone who, went to school and studied art and design, and me with my marketing background,
Right.
I mean, it's Book of Hours is where the real work lies.
Right.
That's the real work.
And
so the bus driving job or the van driving job, it helped pay the bills a little bit. It gave us a little money to put food on the table, kept the lights on, so that we could continue to do the work.
Right.
So
now, we're looking at, I am starting to pick up some work. A couple of schools are opening, but we expect that there's going to be some sort of lockdown again.
Right.
Just like what's going on in Australia.
Right.
We're thinking that, maybe October, Julie keeps calling it the October surprise.
Right. So there is no doubt in my mind that in the fall, we're all going to be experiencing the same thing that we experienced in this country, in the United States, in like March, April, where it was just, lockdown state by state, county by county, city by city. I think we're going to be experiencing that again in the fall. I think we're going to be experiencing that in the fall. And if that happens, then there is, zero income coming into this household.
Right.
If that happens.
Right.
And, a lot of people say, oh, well, you were working, before COVID at this little bus driving gig. What about unemployment? Well, we just got a letter today that said there's no unemployment. This is a letter from the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry that says unemployment is empty. Like there's
Right.
nothing there for him.
The account is empty.
We just got this letter on Saturday.
Right.
So we had this serious conversation, didn't we? I
Yeah.
mean, it was like we had a fight and everything,
Well,
which
yeah.
we never do fight. And
Right.
it was really scary. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna keep the lights on.
Right. So what we decided is that we would put our heads together like we did during the last 5 months, producing the videos that we've produced in the new model series. Now we're up to 6 videos in that series.
Yeah, it's like quite a few videos.
And lifelong learning is our latest
Yeah.
one. Let's have a look at that one. And whether you know it or not, we are all now seeing all of these economic sectors coming together, brought about through disruptive innovations like social impact bonds, social investing, and human capital management. The COVID scare has allowed these systems to be set into motion to disrupt our lives and change the way we live now and in the future. So that is our longest and most intensive video, and we've talked about that here before, but we wanted to bring it back to you just to let you know, the kind of work that we produce. That informs you, but also gives you a much more a larger context and an experience rather than just a video. We don't just we do Bookmark, right? Mm-hmm. And we talk about
You're right. It's
daily
our
events.
weekly podcast,
right? But we don't just do that. Right, where there's other content creators out there who just do that.
That's all they do is sit in front of a camera and just complain and whinge about, what's happening.
Right.
What we're doing is when we're not doing Bookmark, we're actually putting the tools together. We're collaborating with musicians who will allow us to use their work for free. We're collaborating with musicians to incorporate their work into our videos. and into our documentaries. We're also putting together the different pieces. Like, we're still working, even when we're not in front of the camera.
Right.
We're working.
Right.
We're working all the time.
Right.
And we have to acknowledge.
See, this notebook, this is where ideas get kept.
We have notebooks in our hands all the time. We're constantly working. When we wake up in the morning, we work. And when we go, until we go to bed at night, we work. And sometimes we even work in our sleep. Like, I'll have a dream and I'll wake up and I'll be like, we have to put this in the new documentary. So we're always working, and some people recognize that. Some people love the quality of our work, and some people recognize the fact that we're constantly working and have been incredibly generous.
Yeah, so
we should
we wanted to give a shout out to one of our biggest supporters right now.
Yeah.
And that's Andrew.
Right. Andrew Romansky.
Andrew Romansky.
Yeah.
And
Romansky.
And he's, it's funny because we've had some conversations, direct messaging, and
we have a lot in common with.
We have a lot
guy.
in common, and,
yeah.
it's been. Yeah, well, we almost lived in the same city as him
almost.
at some point. But we wanted to say thank you, Andrew, and for all that you've been doing for us. It's amazing. It's really.
Well,
it's not just money, okay?
No,
it's not just money. It's
we're working, so we're getting paid for our work.
Right, and and he acknowledges that, and he's been giving us that money. But it's also a boost to our not our ego, but what I'm trying to say, our boost to us.
Right.
Because it acknowledges that what we're doing gives him something. That he told us that it grounds him.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that gives him something. That gives him a sense of support, and that we know that other people are getting out there because we hear from you. Right. We hear from people all the time.
Yes. So clearly, the message that we're sending out there is affecting people. It's giving people something to really think about. We don't want to peddle false hope.
Right.
And we also don't want to peddle like reactionary, fear-mongering, scaremongery,
and believe
negative.
me, we watch that stuff. We see it. We
watch
know,
it.
There's channels that we follow. There's some that I just can't stand. We watch them occasionally. There's others that are okay, but honestly, we put a lot of energy and effort into our work, and that, and you acknowledge that. We have how many patrons now? 16?
20, I think.
20? Okay,
yeah.
So it's expanded. So we're expanding, and it's because of doing Bookmark. It's because we've been reaching out, and because of the quality of work that we're doing. We're getting more people on board, as Julie likes to call them, our team. Right. Because we've actually, some of our supporters who are patrons have suggested subjects to us, and we've done videos based on that. A good example is resilient cities.
Right.
We'll do a clip.
How awesome that tax money goes to planning, financing, and preparing for resilience. But nothing really helps anyone. Instead, they're using predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, and wearable and screen-based technologies to monitor and track poor people to profit from their misery.
Right. So that's, a little cartoon, and we like to bring in, a little humor and a little lightheartedness to these very difficult subjects. Right now it feels like, it's go time. Like it feels like we really need our supporters and our fans to, dig deep into your pockets. Can you afford 7 cents a day? Because that's what $2 a month amounts to. Right. About 7 cents a day.
And that's $24 a year. And basically $2 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee every month. And I personally have many followers friends rather on Facebook. If each and every one of them gave $2 a month, we would be fine. Right. We would be making our content, and I wouldn't have to drive a van.
Right.
At all.
But the point is,
if the job was available.
Right. The point is that there won't be a van to drive in the fall. There will be another lockdown. Schools will be closed again, and if schools are closed, then there's no need for bus drivers.
Right.
There's no need for school bus drivers.
So right. So this is our job.
This is it. This is our work.
Right.
This is how we keep the lights on and survive.
And because we are artists, this is what we do. And so what we're doing is we're providing content for you. Not just content. And I've said this before. We're providing an experience for you of information. And you know, I don't want to call it entertainment, because what we're doing is informing like a documentary filmmaker does, but we're also giving you a visual experience like an artist does.
Right.
And so, you know, this could go on PBS, but it's not. What's that guy's name that makes all those documentaries? They named that one Effect after him.
Oh, right, Gary.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, go on.
Anyway, he makes all those videos, or all those documentaries. You know, we're not like him. We are more like an artist, or you could probably put some, you know, and I'm not bragging here. I think that the quality of our work, we could be seen in galleries. We could be represented in, you know,
Ken
art
Burns.
Spaces. Ken Burns. Right. We're not Ken Burns. Okay. We're not the news.
But we could be.
I think we provide a much different experience than those media and those documentaries out there.
Right.
And because we approach these things as artists, you appreciate that. And so 2 cents a day, or 7 cents a day, $2 a month, is very little, and that's all we're asking. You can give more if you'd like.
We're worth so much more than that. I mean, we recently spoke to somebody, and they said, you know, your quality of work is one of the best things that we've seen on YouTube. You're not reactionary. You're actually working. You're actually building, you know, the tools to make the documentaries. You're not just sitting in front of a screen, you know, reading an article and then bitching about what the article says. You know, you're actually creating something. You're creating something out of nothing, and you should go completely dark and go subscription only. You should just charge a $10 a month subscription to have access to your work. And, you know, that is something that he and I go back and forth with a lot, especially with my marketing background. I mean, that's where I wanted to go originally, because that's the quality of work that we provide. But the thing is that we are also, you know, very concerned about what's happening in the world, and we want to get the message out there, and we want to provide these videos to you and provide this work to you. We want to, and so if we, you know, and especially when it's, you know, what, 40%, we're coming up on 40% unemployment in the fall, especially with the fall lockdown that is most likely going to happen again. We are looking at some severe financial impact, and so to ask for $10 a month to be a subscriber, to have access to our work, just felt so. It just didn't feel right, you know. But we're really stuck here because, you know, there will be another fall lockdown. I mean, we're coming up on September 1st, and I'm imagining that within the next month there will be no work, and there will be no access to any kind of unemployment benefits for us to pay the bills and keep the lights on and have the internet access so that we can continue to work.
Right. And we know that the people are out there, they do have jobs, and you know, we're not asking you to just give us money. What we're asking you is
to pay for our work.
To help us. Right. Well, I mean, you know, if you like and you appreciate the work that we do, you know, we're no different than, you know, an NPR station or a community radio station, or you know, anything that you enjoy seeing. You know, your Netflix account is more expensive than what we're asking for.
Exactly.
And so if you could find it in you to pony up 7 cents a day, that would be awesome, because it would help us keep doing the kind of work that we're doing. Now, you know, we're not just making these big, long videos, you know, like, for instance, the last one we did, Lifelong Learning. That took us probably, I want to say, 5 weeks to produce that. From writing the script. For free. Yeah, for free. Right, well, we did get some money
for free?
Right, yeah. people did give us, we increased, let's put it this way, we increased our Patreon list
Right.
as a result of that.
Right.
But that was us putting that out there and saying, if you like this, help us.
Right.
And we're saying that now, but we don't just do these long videos, long format videos, we also do short pieces. And here's an example of something that I put up on Instagram now and then. So that one, I really liked putting that together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know who really liked that one was Corey Morningstar's daughter.
Yeah.
She asked us to make it so that it could be embedded in Twitter, and then she went and shared it around.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't just a YouTube video and that it wasn't just an Instagram link.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted it actually embedded into Twitter. So she and I are Twitter pals. She's so, she's
Yeah,
great. She's
yeah.
really sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah. So,
And that's an example of us taking actual footage or digital footage out there in the world, in our community, and turning it into a piece of art.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
And it's not just art. I mean, it's also talking about what's going on in the world.
Right.
So we're informing you some information hidden inside of an art piece. And,
Exactly. I mean, what is that old saying? All politics is art, or all art is...
all politics is local.
All politics is local, and all art is political, right?
I guess.
I mean,
yeah. It
if
is.
you really think about it, all
Yeah.
art is truly political.
It is, even when it's not trying to be.
Exactly.
I think that, it enhances. And part of, when I was in school, I got my degree in something called conceptual design, which is a conceptual art program at San Francisco State University. And we were using new technologies and conceptual art strategies. Now, if you don't know what conceptual art is, it's art that's about something, and there's different branches of conceptual art, but I would like to place our work into that area, because even though we take a documentarian sort of approach to our longer form videos,
Mm-hmm.
we also do these shorter form things, like this one. And so that was another little one that where we, now in that case, it was found video out on the internet, and we presented that footage, or that digital footage, into one of our other pieces.
The longer pieces.
Longer pieces.
Yeah.
But I took that and reused it in another context for these shorter things. So what we're trying to do is present to our audience a variety of works to show you, to give you something that enriches your life.
Right.
More than just a video where we just talk at you or bitch about shit. What we're trying to do is provide for you, again, an experience, but also something that you can take in, and it gives you a base, like what our supporter Andrew told us. He said it really made a difference in his life right now.
Right.
Our work, and so we are so happy that he said that gives us a boost as much as the the cash infusion does.
Right. Well, and the money came like right in the nick of time, like it always does. In the past we had a notice that our utilities were going to be shut off.
Yeah, this past winter. Yeah.
And we had a friend in Canada come through who loves our work as well, and she came through and donated so that our utilities could stay on. I mean, that's the challenges that we face, and I'm afraid that we're teetering on the precipice of something very, very difficult indeed, especially with this imminent lockdown that's going to be taking place in the fall.
Right.
I mean, all you have to do is look at what's happened in Australia and New Zealand, and it should not be difficult to see the writing on the wall.
Right, and it's winter there now, so
when it's winter here,
yeah, you're right, exactly. So we both expect that they're going to do this again.
Yeah,
and it's not there's so many people being affected by this.
Right, and we've been told that there's nothing in the coffers. There's nothing.
Right.
There's a letter that says notice of exhaustion. Like, this is it.
Yeah.
All the benefits, the paltry benefits that were there aren't there anymore.
Right. So the paltry amount that I got from the bus job, it was half. It was half of what I was making from the bus job, right?
Right.
So
it's a minimum wage job to begin with.
Right.
And he only works like 3 to 4 hours a day. So you do the math, okay?
Right.
You know how much, you get paid with minimum wage. It's a little bit more than that, but not much,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So this has been, this is very scary. What we're facing is something really scary, but we don't, react in fear. We don't react in terror. Like we're not those kind of people. Basically what we're saying is we're working and we would like to get paid for our work. Now, our 20 patrons that we have right now do pay us. Thank God for that. And they're from all over the country. So thank you for that.
Right, yeah.
That brings in, about $100 a month. Patron takes out fees and all sorts of stuff. So by the time we get the money, I think it's closer to like 90 or something. But that's not enough to keep the lights on.
So we would like it if you could become a patron.
Yeah.
At 7 cents a day, $2 a month. That's the minimum of what we're asking. You can give more if you'd like, but all we're asking is 7 cents a day. Now, the other way you could support us is through a one-time donation on PayPal. That's paypal.me/bookofhours. Or you can give us directly through Facebook payments, which is the way our supporter Andrew has done.
Right.
Now, what we're doing this month, starting, it should be going on right now as you see this video, is a Facebook fundraiser.
Right.
So this is our fall campaign on Facebook fundraiser.
And what this will do is help us to continue to pay our utilities so that we can have access to the internet, so that we can continue to make the content and get all the tools that we need in order to make the content. The reason that and this is so outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
This is so not a part of how we exist, because as a UX designer for 20 years, he made enough money that he was loaning money or giving money away. When I first met him, I was strapped for cash, and he was, clearly he liked me, and he was like, well, here, let me help you out. He had the money
and I
to spare.
I supported content creators.
Right. And but that was, almost 10 years ago. So things have changed, obviously. And one of the things that really inspired us to, or gave us the idea to start a Facebook fundraiser, was a local person who sits on the board here in the little neighborhood of Pittsburgh that we live in. She's a local board member. She did a Facebook fundraiser to make some money to paint butterflies on a wall, and
in a park nobody visits.
In a park that nobody visits, and within 5 days, she raised all the funding that she had wanted and then some. And I thought, well, gosh, if people can donate money to paint butterflies on a wall that nobody visits,
And
then
this is-
certainly...
and in a community that's very strapped for cash.
And in a community
this
that's
is a very
already
poor
strapped for
community.
cash,
Yeah, right.
where there's blight and, broken roads and, no access to food.
And so we're not saying that this is not a worthy cause, because we are, as artists, appreciate
Of course.
bringing life to something that is dead.
Yeah.
However, we also bring life to things. We bring the experiences. We bring content and art to you, things that you appreciate. And again, thank you to all our patrons. Thank you to everybody who's been donating. Now it's time for the rest of you.
Right.
Because there are so many more of you. We have how many people on YouTube following us?
We have 1,312 people
Right.
following us on YouTube right now.
And I have around the same amount of people following me on Facebook. So
A little more than that.
Yeah, so there's-
almost 2,000.
okay,
Yeah.
so
If each one of you people donated $2 a month,
Yeah.
$7 a day,
even half of them would make a big difference.
we could produce stunning content. You have no idea.
Right.
We don't ask for money because we're strapped. We basically say we're working, so could you please pay us for the work that we do?
Right.
That's because we have a good work ethic, and if the state hadn't taken away everybody's jobs, I'm sure everybody feels the same way we do. We have good work ethics here in the United States. We often work for a lot less than what we're worth.
Right. And so, just like a community radio station, just like that streaming service that you subscribe to, just like your Netflix account, we don't ask for much, and we don't, need much from you. But everybody needs to help with, giving us the funds that we need to make that content that you enjoy so much.
Right.
And
I think that it's really important to differentiate between hobbyists and people who actually work to earn a living with what they're creating.
Right. We are artists, not hobbyists.
No, we're not. This isn't our hobby.
This is actually our business.
This is our business,
Yeah.
and we need you guys to maybe recognize that, because I know that there are a lot of people out there that are talking about the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or it's called 4IR. They're also talking about the human capital market, and so are we. We're talking about all that stuff
and
as
sometimes
well.
we collaborate with them.
And we create a very aesthetic narrative and an artistic interpretation of these incredibly scary, draconian, futuristic policies and ways that we're going to be treated in the future, and the way we're being treated right now. But we do it in a creative way. But those people, they're like, they're like typing out, long Facebook posts, or, giving interviews or doing live sessions to talk about and informing the people of what's going on. That's great that they can do that for free, but we can't afford to. It's really great that they can actually, take all of their background and their tech background and their understanding of what's happening, what Silicon Valley is doing to us, and just offering it, in these really complicated technical terms that not a lot of people get. There's a very small segment of the population that really, truly gets it, and you have to come from a tech or marketing background to really understand what's going on. But what JP and I do is we take this complicated, difficult to process information, which is what's really happening, and we are able to illustrate it so that people who barely have a third grade education can walk away informed. And that's like imparting knowledge and imparting an understanding about something on a community that's always been lied to, and has never been given an opportunity to have proper education about critical thought and things like that. For them to look at our videos and understand, that's huge. Like, to me, knowledge is power, right? So there's a whole giant section of the population that we have been able to reach, that all of you hobbyists who use your Facebook platforms and your various other platforms in order to, push out all this great technical, jargonized information that is like speaking a different language. It's great that you guys can do that as a hobby, but we do it and recreate it and recontextualize it and turn it into something that's accessible to everyone.
And we've been, we've been lauded for being the artists that have stepped up to interpret this content for you. And again, in our last video, Lifelong Learning, we worked with a researcher, Alison McDowell, who has been working on this for a very long time, and the work that she's been frustrated that people like us haven't come forward and done the kind of work that we've done. And so she was very happy to see this, and she was very happy to work with us and help us on this last piece that we did, and interpret that work into an artistic bit of content or a piece that people then can really understand more. The art part of it, what we do, what we bring to it, is what helps people understand things more, but also not just understand, and again, I want to come back to it. This is the value that we bring, is that it makes you understand in a way that only art, only poetry can do, to help you get and take in what's actually happening. And that's the important part, and that's what artists bring to the world. We interpret the world in ways that other people can't. And as artists, we're asking you to help support that work, help support what we bring to, what our unique quality, what we bring to the content, what we bring to the subject matters, and inform you and help you understand, but then enrich your life through that experience even more so. And that I think is the biggest thing that we bring to you.
Right. And the knowledge.
And the knowledge.
Knowledge.
And that's our work. That's what we do. And even though I had a career as a designer, I was always an artist. Mm-hmm. So I was I wasn't doing video work all the time. I used to be a painter and an illustrator, not an illustrator, but I draw and paint, make mixed media work. And it's all throughout our house, and you can see some of it on another Facebook channel that I have. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, I brought those aesthetics and the experience from making paintings, the experience from making conceptual art, and the experience from being a designer and having an eye in technology to what we're seeing now. And Julie and I work on the scripts together. Julie has an experience of writing poetry and long form essays. Here's something else too. We have a blog, and we post to that blog. Julie does most of the time.
Sometimes. Lately I haven't been. It's been all about production on the videos. But one other thing too is that we are also very aware of what's going on in the world right now. And when this first happened in March, not only did we set to work making Quarantyranny to explain to people, because I'm telling you, I could feel it in my bones that the whole world was in shock and the whole world was very confused. And so I thought, okay, so we put our heads together and we said, we have to make a video that helps people understand what's happening.
Right.
And it's not a pretty picture, and it's pretty scary, but we need to tell the truth.
Right.
We don't want to sugarcoat it. If you want to sugarcoat it,
well,
go somewhere else.
But on the other hand, we didn't want to be the
reactionary.
People, right? Yeah, exactly.
We didn't want to be fear-mongering, scary, all that.
Because there are other channels out there who do similar things to us, but they are very Chicken Little. They're very reactionary, and they oftentimes, we don't feel they get it right. They focus on the wrong things and the things that are really easy to point to, but and we don't have to say their name, but some of you probably follow them, and some people have asked us if we know about them, and of course we do.
Yeah.
But we make we feel like we're much different than they are.
Oh, yeah.
Because we approach it as artists.
Right.
You know?
Well, and then another thing that we did too was during the beginning of all this, so as we were putting the tools together and building out Quarantyranny, he every day would wake up and go, I gotta get the seeds, I gotta get the seeds, I gotta get the garden going.
Right.
And so in 5 months, we went from a parking pad to a lush garden.
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually show you some video clip of that right now.
Oh, look at that basil. I have other basil growing in other parts of the yard, but these particular plants were from starts from rooted cuttings from another basil plant. And I put the basil in water to keep it so we could just use it in the kitchen, and they sprouted roots. And so I planted them in here a few weeks ago, and they're taking off. They're doing really well. I need to trim this one back. It's getting a little leggy. Bring in some basil for lunch. But here's something really cool. Look at this, I've got green beans. And a whole bunch of them. I don't know what kind of beans they are. I just kind of planted beans. I had some beans around, some dried beans. I just planted them to see what they do. I have black beans in another part of the yard. I also planted some chickpeas. They did okay. I'm gonna do them different next time, but these things have just taken off. A little solar light at the top. This post used to be a light post in front of our house, and I took it out. We didn't like it. So now it's a bean pole.
So those are little bits and pieces of our garden as they were a few days ago. We've had a lot of rain, and I have to go back out and trim some things back. The beans that we have growing are just taking over. Next year it's going to be a little different. I'm going to approach things. I had no idea. This is the first time I've grown a garden in Pennsylvania. In San Francisco, when you grow a garden, you don't have that level of growth that I was showing you in that video, and I had no idea what I was up against. You know, to tell you the truth, you know, San Francisco is cold all summer. We don't get the heat, and I had a fig tree in one of my gardens in the past, and it would like. You know, like
just barely, like
get a couple fruits out,
maybe,
and,
maybe I'll
and
grow.
the tree would grow, but the fruit would be
never,
like, well, you know. And then October it would be like ripe. It would ripen, and it wasn't very tasty because it didn't ripen all summer, right? There wasn't that heat. It was just like 3 weeks of heat in October. So
I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that
thank you.
So not only did we say let's put the tools together to inform, you know, the public who are completely traumatized right now and have no clue what's going on and are very scared. Let's give them something to bite into and to hold on to, and to settle them down and say, look, this is about, you know, a behavioral futures market. This is about an AI takeover. This is about a tech overreach. This is about your government being occupied. We're living in occupied land right now. Mm-hmm. You know, your governments are not your own anymore. They've been occupied by corporate interests, but whatever. But not only did we do all that, but we said we have to think about the future as well, because there will be, even all the way back in March, we said there will be another lockdown in the fall. Winter will come. It will be even more difficult to get access to food. We have to start planting right now. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we did. So here we are in, you know, near September 1st, and we have all of this bounty. We've got the tomatoes and the potatoes and the beans and the squash and the cucumbers. You know, we have got a bounty of vegetables that we can chop up and freeze for the winter time and make soups out of. So when we're not making the work, when we're not making the content that you enjoy and imparting knowledge to everyone, not just the select few that understand all the technical jargon, but when we're taking all that information and recontextualizing it so that we can hand it over to somebody who maybe only has a third grade education, we're also helping our neighbors understand about planting, planting herbs and planting lettuce and planting, tomatoes and potatoes and zucchini and all that stuff.
And giving some of those things away too, like
exactly.
I gave some basil and some oregano to my neighbor along with some cucumbers, and they weren't sure what to do with the basil or with the oregano, and so I had to, so I part of that gift was that gift of knowledge, right?
Exactly.
The kinds of things that we do with our video work, and giving you that experience and that taste.
It goes beyond the computer screen.
It
really
definitely does.
I mean, do we need to start like a cooking channel?
Maybe,
I don't know.
but there's nothing like fresh basil, and these people hadn't experienced that. And it was a joy to give them that opportunity to experience the taste and the experience of fresh basil.
Right. One thing that I want to share is something that often comes up every once in a while, and this story is repeated, but we have been sort of diagnosing what's been going on financially and economically in the world for the last 4 or 5 years. And so, the writing was on the wall in San Francisco. It was difficult for him to find work. It's been about 7 or 8 years since he was let go of his corporate position. And ever since then, it's been nothing but struggle. It's been nothing but financial hardship. It's been so hard. And so what we decided to do was leave San Francisco. We bought this old house in this neighborhood in Pittsburgh that is a neighborhood of deep poverty. There's poverty, all over the place. It's very challenging to go from, the beauty and grandeur of San Francisco and to live in deep poverty, but, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything. I love this house. And so what we did is we've, little by little, we're fixing the house up as much as we can, and the backyard is dedicated for food, and the front yard is dedicated for beauty.
Right.
And if you look at garden musings, where I kind of go on like a little bit of a stream of consciousness about population reduction, that entire video called Garden Musings is our front yard. So
you want to look at that?
Sure.
Okay.
It really resonated with me. So I think that what we're going to be seeing as we continue along this path is some challenges ahead, some serious challenges ahead.
And so those are the flowers. Julie and I planted those from seeds.
Right.
So all those flowers that you see there, except for the roses, we acquired other ways because roses are hard to grow from seed.
Yeah.
But all the sunflowers and the zinnias and other flowers that are out there, those were all things that we started from seed a couple months ago.
Right. So, that's after we had purchased and bought, after we got all the seeds, and it was difficult to find the seeds back in in March and April.
Right, yeah.
There was a seed shortage. I don't know if you remember that, but you could not get seeds for food, to save your life. And finally, we actually found them on eBay.
Well,
or
we
something.
We found some herbs and other vegetables on eBay, on Amazon.
Sorry, we had to do it.
And then the flowers, some of the flowers we found at Target of all places.
Right. So all the food stuff is in the back, and we planted that first. And then a month later, he's like, okay, it's time to pot, to seed pot the flowers. And so we took little seeds and we put them in these little compostable pots, and we put them in our cheap little greenhouse that we bought at Aldi's for $20.
Yeah.
We have a tiny little greenhouse, and we put them in there, and once they started to show a little bit of green and sprout a little bit, then he put them in the ground.
Right.
And what you just saw in the video is what was, I've never, growing up with my mom's an avid gardener, beautiful rose bushes out in front of our house in California, so also a green thumb, much like my husband. But it's I never really felt the satisfaction of putting something in the dirt with my finger, and then a couple of months later is this explosion of beauty and flowers and life and color, and also the food too. It's our dinners consist of him going out into the backyard and pulling the potatoes or the tomatoes from the vines and from the ground, and then we cook them.
Yeah.
So that's what our life is like. So we're very practical. We're very, we're good with our money. We're you're not supporting people who are frivolous,
Right.
and we don't look like we're poor, but we, because we represent, all of our professionalism behind us, all of the things that have made us a success in the past.
Well, something else that I wanted to say is that we also, the garden is practical from the standpoint of we not just feed our neighbors, but the community, but the community of birds and insects. So we keep it organic, and the flowers that we grow, like the sunflowers, bring different types of birds, like the goldfinches.
The goldfinch,
love
and the
the sunflowers, and the cardinals love these things. And so
all the birds.
we love having the birds come too as well, and I do have a bird feeder, and some of the seeds from the bird feeder spilled out and started growing things like millet that the birds like to eat. So those are now growing in the backyard in the food area as well. And so I encourage those to continue to grow so that we can feed the birds, because birds bring birds, and some birds eat insects, and insects that eat things in the garden are being eaten by the birds. So it's a cyclical thing, right?
It's a cyclical ecology. That's your balance of nature and humanity. And my favorite part about the garden in the backyard, though, I think, in the front yard too, is all the bees. I've never had a problem with bees. They've landed on me. Butterflies have landed on me. I've never had a problem. I've never been stung.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll buzz all, and I love being there. And our friend here in Pittsburgh, he's like, "Oh, look, you've got bees," because he came over and looked at the garden one day, and he's like, "Don't you love it when you see bees?" You're like, "Would you like to have a cup of tea?" Like when you see a bee, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, a bee," and they get all scared. But
bees are great.
He was like, "Would you like a cup of tea?"
The only time I've ever been stung by a bee was accidental, where I actually stepped on one at one point when I was a child, and then when I accidentally reached over because I felt something on my body somewhere, my shirt or something, and I accidentally picked it up, and it stung me, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing too is when they sting, then they die.
They die, right?
Yeah. So you don't want to.
It stung me, but it killed the bee. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to. So what we're trying to say is we bring to our community, we bring to you, our community online, experiences. We bring you joy. We bring you something that grounds you, that feeds you, content and information and art.
And cucumbers.
That feeds you, okay? And what we're asking in return is for you to help support our work, help support what we do, what we bring to you, and we have brought to you 6 big videos in this series called The New Model, that not just inform you, but feed you. And for as little as 7 cents a day, you can be a regular contributor to our work and help us out. You can also go to our Facebook fund drive. Now we have a goal of $3,500, $3,500. And that's an easy goal to attain, especially if all those people that are on my Facebook feed gave 2 cents. They could probably not 2 cents, but what I'm getting at, $5. We could get there really fast. Yeah, we could get there really fast. So you don't have to contribute a lot, but we do need everybody. We do need not just those few, not just Andrew, not just the people on our Patreon page.
Right.
We need everybody, and we have other people that have been throwing us 20s here and there. Colleen Virgilio, Catherine Sturdivant, there's a couple other people. Allison,
right?
Allison McDowell has thrown money at us through PayPal. So thank you to all those people who've been giving us a few bucks here and there. That really makes a big difference.
It does.
It really does.
No, it's literally good. We have money to go to the grocery store.
Right.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
And we do have other expenses to produce these videos. We have software that we need to update. We just updated our domain name, book-of-hours.com. We had to update that, and I paid for 3 years, and it adds up. Okay, we just had to pay our annual hosting fee. Okay, so that's what allows us to have our email and our website online, and where we post videos sometimes and other content. That's our blog. So that's our base, right? And we do need to have that. It's not expensive, but it's yet another bill that we need to pay for. We have monthly internet fees like everybody, and in order to put these things out, we do need access to the internet. So. Like you, we have monthly bills, but unlike you, we
don't have any.
we make art. That's what we do. We are artists, and we work to produce the kind of content that you appreciate. And so what we're asking from you is to help support us to continue doing those things that you enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is our fall fundraiser.
Yeah.
Go to Facebook and look up Book of Hours and find the fundraiser. We're looking for $3,500.
Yeah.
That's not a lot, and I think that we can make that goal. And we're going to ask every time on Bookmark during this next month, and basically we're extending it to the end of October. So this is the kickoff. This is the beginning. So please go to Facebook, go to Book of Hours, and contribute some money to that. You can also be a patron for as little as 7 cents a day. You can also give something to our PayPal account if you feel like doing that. PayPal.me/bookofhours.
Right. Yeah.
Anything else on the pitch?
No, I mean, I think that, our biggest concern, I think, is that there will be a lockdown in the fall, and and just to warn everybody, I really do believe that's gonna, that's a reality that we're all facing.
Yeah. And if it doesn't happen, that's a good thing. But we're not too optimistic about this.
Yeah, and it's just we, even with the job, even with the bus driving job, it's not enough. It's minimum wage, and it's only a couple of hours a day.
And it does take away from making work full time.
And it takes away from our actual work.
Right.
It's almost like it's not even worth it. But right now it's all we got. So,
Yeah. And as we continue, we have the different channels that we have. We will expand these things, and we will reach out to you when they occur. But remember, we have Instagram. And that's at Instagram.com/bookofhoursart. Okay, and you can see the things that we produce there. We have our YouTube channel, Book of Hours. YouTube.com/bookofhours, all one word. And then Facebook, Facebook.com/bookofhours. And then we have our website, which we need to update. But you contributing to us making this work will help us spend some time on that. But we have a blog there, and you can read some of Julie's postings. So that's book-of-hours.com/blog, and you can see that work. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So there's lots of things that you can see that we do that will contribute to your life. And all we're asking is for you to help support us by contributing to what we do.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we're going to see you next week on another Bookmark.
Right. And we'll probably be creating a little bit of some creative content in between.
Yeah, we have some Instagram work that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
So we'll be posting that in the next few days.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
All right, great.
And we're still working on multi-state coalitions. We're building that out. We're doing, we're sketching out, the ideas for that. That's what this is about.
Right.
So, okay. So thanks for your support and for sharing our work. Share this video around.
Yeah.
Share our new model series.
Yeah, we need more subscribers on YouTube as well. So,
yeah, we should have more subscribers.
Yeah, so help get the word out, and that would be great as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
is determined to remain an essential platform that offers a creative interpretation for lockdown skeptics and experts who have been censored by mainstream press. Thanks to your donations, we can carry on doing this essential work as working artists. These big issues of the day are vital and need to be heard. So please share our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, make a one-time donation on our PayPal page, but most importantly, please be a part of our team on our Patreon page. Go to patreon.com/bookofhours and hit the blue button titled Become a Patron. Thank you.